All right, welcome to another small business spotlight here on Fridays at Soul Joel TV. We're joined by a very special guest, someone that I've known since before the pandemic. She was one of our original sponsors inside the Dome, so you recognize it's probably one of the banners that got mentioned or made fun of the most by comics because it gave her so much material. It's Heidi Evans of Heidi's Pet Sitting. The comics would always make fun of it because they're like, "Is Heidi here?" Like, it was one of the few places, businesses that the comics would ask if you were actually in. They're like, "Oh, probably because she's walking dogs." Like, it's so corny, but it was so easy.
And then when I was there, everybody would turn around and stare at me.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Right.
I did not know that was going to be the effect when I.
But it's almost like a free
there.
commercial. Did friends ever text you that they mentioned it when you
Yes.
weren't there?
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Probably every time.
Right. But I mean, it makes sense. It's the reason why, like, I don't have a social life outside of my own shows, because that's probably, if you're actually walking dogs, that's probably when you need to be walking dogs at night, or
Right.
people when they can't, they're at work
Right.
late. You go
The
and
problem,
fill in.
having some friends that do the same things that I do, come to shows and things, they want me to go to their house.
Oh,
while they're
hilarious.
Here, and I have to say no. We're going to be at the same show.
Oh,
Like,
that's so. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's not, because we just talked off before we started that it's a lot of your stuff is whenever people are away. You'll
Vacation.
go vacation. You'll go to their house and let their dogs out or walk them. But I didn't even think short term. So, like, people will do that just because they're not going to be there for the night. So that's another part of your business where
Yes.
it could just be that they're going to be gone for 2 or 3 hours, and it's long enough where they
Random-
need you to come.
That's just random inquiries that I get. Like,
Okay.
On a Monday, somebody will say, "Oh, I forgot we have plans tonight, and I'm
Yeah.
afraid I'm going to be gone too long. Can you stop by and let the dog out?"
Yeah.
And if I'm around, sure, no problem.
Right.
Sometimes I have to say no. I'll be at Soul Joel's. Sorry.
Right. But I'm sure like that's like you get referred, and that's like your love and passion for animals like probably keeps you busy.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's all word of mouth.
All
like
word of
I've
mouth.
got I have my banner here, but
Yeah.
other than that, I don't do any print advertising, anything, because it's just people telling people.
Yeah, you can only be so busy.
Right. And then during the summer, I can't even see straight during the summer.
Because that's when people are mostly away.
Yeah, I work for like 100 days straight. I don't take a day off.
Really?
Yeah, because you can't in my business. Like, you can't be like, "Oh, I can watch your dog 6 days of your vacation, but not the 7th day."
Right.
It doesn't work
You're,
like
you're
that.
oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You're like, on Sunday I like to take off, or Monday, whatever day
No,
it is. You
no,
can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh.
why I take vacations, because I have to like take 4 days or 7 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and just be off for that period of time.
Are you like an old school farmer where like you vacation in the wintertime then?
So yes, hilarious.
You're like, when the days are shortest, this is when we're taking off.
when I first started this, I would only go on vacation in the winter.
Really?
I don't take off June, July, or August.
Okay, that's the
makes
100
sense.
days I
But I
yeah.
used to work all the time and only take off like in February. I'd go to Colorado skiing
Okay.
with my dad, who is a farmer. So it's very funny that you say that.
Yeah.
And
The winter
he-
solstice is the shortest day of the year. That's when we go away.
That's when he has time. That's
We're hitting
when
the
I have
slopes.
time. That's what we used to do. Broke my leg last year. So
Oh
we
no,
won't be
wait,
doing
you
that
broke your
anymore.
leg skiing?
Yes.
That's so funny that you say that, because as a wrestler growing up in high school and then college, I never wanted to go skiing even if we had a day off, because I was so afraid of doing that. That actually happened.
Yes. I completely
Triple
separated.
back diamond?
Nope. It was stupid. I just
It was
gotten
the
off
buddy
lift.
slopes.
I had just gotten off the lift. I was on the top of the mountain, but I had just gotten off the lift at the very, very top. I had taken like 3 lifts to get there. And it had snowed
Wow.
8 inches the night before, so there was like a ton of powder. And I just got caught up in it, and over I went, and I fractured my knee, completely separated my ACL, and tore my meniscus all in one big tumble.
I don't even remember that. Like, what months was
So
this?
that would have been February of last year. I didn't get
Okay.
my surgery, and I wore a brace until May. I finally got meniscus surgery in May, and then I recovered pretty quickly after that. But I had to let the fracture heal, and then we had to do. And then my ACL is still just disconnected.
Oh no! But
Yeah.
and from a business standpoint, just thinking about this,
Oh,
so
I
how-
cried. I didn't cry because it hurt,
No,
but
no,
I was
no.
crying because I saw my life and my business flash before my eyes when it happened.
And that's so real. That's such a so what ended up happening now that we can like look at it in hindsight? Like, did it force you to shut down?
I had to hire the same girl she's a woman, that walks my dogs. She's not a girl.
She her.
She's a woman. I had to hire the woman that walks my dogs when I'm on vacation for a little bit. When I got back, I just had her do like some extra days. And then I wasn't healing because I continued to walk dogs. And so the doctor made me take 2 weeks off. So I had to hire her for 2 weeks.
You had to be compliant.
I tried. It was really hard.
You did your best.
I did. And the fracture did end up healing. And then I was able to get the meniscus surgery. And then the meniscus surgery, I only took they told me I had to take 2 weeks off. I took like a couple days off, but it was fine.
You're like 48 hours.
It was
fine.
It was fine. I had it on like a Thursday. I went back to work on Monday. But because I have
But that's the reality.
I have customers that I walk their dogs not 5 days a week, but especially since the pandemic, because everybody's work schedules are some home and some at work now.
Yeah.
So some customers I walk 5 days a week. Some customers I walk 3 or 4 days a week. They're either elderly and can't walk their own dogs, or they're at work.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking too. So it's not just people that are away.
Yeah. It's regular people.
You have regular people that just need the help or are so busy.
They work like long hours, or they're elderly, or they have to go in the office, and their dog is used to them being there.
Right.
The 2 days a week they're home, so 3 days a week I walk their dogs.
But it makes sense. I mean, someone like me that I'm here during the day doing all the booking and promoting, but then at night I have the event. So like that's why I don't have a dog. But I could see someone that has a dog and has my schedule. They have someone like you to let them out, walk them.
I mean, we talked about Meredith before, and Meredith is a busy human.
Right.
And, now that she's become a comedian and all.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's one of my clients, and she'll just call me and say, hey, I worked all day in the office, and now I got to go to do open mic night or whatever. Can you go let the dog out for me?
Okay.
And she doesn't like him to be alone very long, so he gets primo care.
But it makes sense. So backing up, how long have you been doing this?
So full-time 6 years. This July, it'll be 7 years since I left my office career.
Okay.
I've been doing it on and off since I was 13 years old, though. I grew up on a dairy farm, and my neighbors had horses and goats and things, and I would do it for them when I was a teenager.
Okay.
So I've done it literally on and off my whole adult life, but full-time the last 6 years. Previous to that, I have always, since like 2004, I've had an animal rescue.
Okay.
I'm on my second one now. I started one in 2004, and then I started another one in 2011. And that's where I got a lot of my connections for originally when I jumped from my office job to do this full time.
What's the animal rescue called?
Recycled Tails.
Okay.
And we don't do a ton anymore. We do a little bit. My foster dog actually got adopted today.
Oh, congrats.
He went to his home. Very happy. So I do like one foster dog at a time.
Okay.
If it happens, I don't look for them. They find me. I've been doing it long enough that people just call me.
Yeah. Your information's out there.
This dog had been a client's dog who was elderly and sick and couldn't take care of it anymore.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking him in and rehoming him, even though he started out as a client. And that's not the first time I've done that. That's some of it.
Right.
Because people have animals that they don't know what to do with. Your family doesn't always want them when you pass away. So he ended up in my hands. I got him all medically cared for, and he got adopted today, and he's going to be living the life.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's just once it's in your blood, it's just just who you are.
Well, and also so that's how I started. I had a full-time job, and then I just started doing comedy, and then it became a full-time thing. So that's kind of what happened with you. Like you did it until it became
I used
to
do it even when I had my office job.
Yeah.
I would still pet sit for people where I could fit it in around my office job. And then when I told everyone that I was going to do it, that I was just jumping ship and going to do it full time, they were very excited. It was terrifying.
Right, because then your opens up.
And you have to. So a lot of people want to be a part-time pet sitter. I meet women all the time that say, "Oh, that's what I want to do."
Yeah.
You have to be available all the time.
Yeah.
Like I would love when I'm slow in the winter to get a part-time job bartending, doing something. It won't work because that will be when a client needs me. That will be when I need to be available. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people try to do it part-time and have like 2 or 3 other gigs going on. You're not going to get to where you need to be to have that be your only job.
And if you want that other job, you have to be available for them too. So it's kind of like a catch-22.
It is.
Yeah, you know, availability both ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of part-timers out there. Everybody signs up for Rover or whatever all the websites are and stuff. Fine. But
is that the Uber for dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And anyone can sign up for those websites. You don't have to have
a background check or anything.
I don't know if they do a background check, but that doesn't mean you're good with dogs. Just because you can pass a background check doesn't mean you know how to handle a cat.
Right. I haven't killed someone, but I have killed some pets.
Right. You just
I don't know what I'm doing.
You don't know. I just found out a story from somebody that had hired someone from Rover and then started using them privately, which happens a lot. You hire them through the website and then you get to know each other and then they hire them privately. And I looked up this girl's record, just public record.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I had to like have a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you know?
Yeah. Well, I automatically, whenever I go over someone's house and they have a dog and like the dog like is like gravitates towards me, and I always joke around, I'm like, dogs can always sense good people. Like, but
it's true.
They do. They have like a sixth sense, right?
It is so true.
Like, and equally, they probably if they shy away from someone, you're like, what's that dog picking up? Oh, your bad energy.
It is so true.
Do you notice that?
When these people showed up today to adopt my foster dog, I had met them years ago at an event, years ago.
Right. And, things can change, or it might not have been a lot of time. You might not remember.
I didn't remember what they looked like. When they emailed me, they're like, hey, we met this many years ago, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So they show up. The dog literally could not get enough of them. He was like
in a positive
on their
way.
lap, licking their face. Like
he's
a pretty friendly dog anyway, but still, he was like, yes, I'll go home with these people, like right away. And he's very attached to me. Like if I move from room to room, he follows me.
Right.
But like, so he did. When I got up and had to go get his paperwork or do whatever we were doing to complete his adoption.
Yeah, he was still attached to you.
Yes, but very like he wanted to sit. They were a couple and they were sitting on the couch and he was sitting between them and he was really like.
But knowing that transition's happening, that must make you feel good. Knowing that
absolutely
the dog's gonna be happy too, because you want to make sure it's a good fit.
My last foster dog was the same way. She just jumped right into people's lap. She was a Chihuahua, purebred Chihuahua, and she jumped right into people's lap and was like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the greatest.
You're
feeling.
the matchmaker for dogs.
Well, and a lot of rescues do a lot of dogs at a time, and I give them all the credit in the world.
Right.
But they're forcing the dogs out. Right. My foster dogs can just stay with me. You know.
If things don't work out, they have a place to stay.
I don't remember how I acquired her either. Oh, a friend of mine grabbed her from some lady that was going to drop her off at the Humane Society. And then she messaged me and I was like, yeah, I don't have a foster dog right now. I'll take her. And then I just kept her and she was with me for months before we found the perfect home for her, which is a leisurely thing that I can do now. We used to do volumes and volumes and volumes back in the day too. And it'll wear you out.
So obviously I have a COVID story. And I told Georgianne when we had her here, that when my sister's dog, we had to give the dog up because it wasn't being friendly with the kids and it attacked them. And we're like, oh, it happened twice. We got to get rid of him again. Like, it could be bad. But everybody that wanted to take the dog, it had to be boarded for like 10 days because of COVID. They had to make sure that there was
and that never was actually a thing. Like,
oh, it wasn't?
I'm pretty sure that never was actually proven that animals were giving anyone COVID.
Right.
But everyone was afraid to touch anything anywhere. You
right.
know? So
I just thought that was crazy. Like
10 days. Like that's wild.
I'm like.
I didn't. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Oh, really? Because I didn't know. Did you have any like restrictions or anything during COVID? Like.
So when. Funny.
How you were affected by it? Yeah.
Jess Fetter. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
She adopted kittens from me during COVID.
Okay.
And we left them in the driveway. This was very early on in COVID.
Okay.
And we
still
left them,
the unknown.
We left them in the driveway in a carrier, and she came and got them. Like,
oh boy.
No touch adoption. Hilarious. She just reminded me of that the other day. She's like, remember when I had to like get the kittens out of your driveway? And I was like, oh my God, yeah. And she wasn't the only one. Well, that's how we were doing kitten adoptions at the time.
Well, and it's coming up on 4 years, so like you're trying to like now you're starting to remember like early on like I remember Tom Hanks was like the first celebrity that I heard had COVID, and I go, oh man, he was a great guy. Like I just thought
like he was gonna die.
Yeah,
that was it.
You're like that's the farewell, like
I'm not gonna lie. I was the girl that was like, I'm getting my groceries ordered. I'm not leaving the house.
Right.
Like I was.
Because you didn't know.
I didn't know, and everybody was ordered to stay home anyway. I took that very seriously. I was like, okay, we have to stay home now. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It was such a strange time.
Right. Well, and luckily for you, your business is one-on-one anyway with the dog. So like, and people aren't home.
Right. So that didn't affect it. I could go in and out of people's houses because they weren't there when I was going to do it anyway.
Right.
But I do have some elderly clients who are home that I walk their dogs during Monday through Friday. And that was personal choices.
Okay.
So my one client actually during COVID started meeting me outside with her dog.
Yeah.
And she still to this day meets me outside with her
Really?
dog.
So it just became a routine.
It is
and
her
a
habit. She sits on her front stoop. She waits for me to come get the dog. I get the dog. I give it back to her outside, and she takes it back inside.
So were you, did it affect you? I mean, obviously everybody got affected, but were you able to stay busy during that time, or
I was like dead in the water. Like people were dropping off groceries on my front porch. People were worried that I was going to just perish in COVID.
Yeah.
I got really lucky because I do have a legitimate business and I file taxes for it and everything. So I was one of the few pet sitters that I know, because most of them don't
or folded.
Take all of that seriously, like the taxes and doing all of the things. I'm really lucky that I had decided to go that route, because then I was able to prove all of the stuff for unemployment when they came out with that pandemic unemployment for self-employed people.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it. I was like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a ton, but it was enough to make sure that I could keep going.
Yeah. Well, no, my part of that's in my book, but when I had Joey St. John, I went to bed with $300 in my account. And it was in April, because no shows, no dome. We hadn't done a show since the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was now like 3 pay periods later. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. Tomorrow's payday, and I have to meet Joey with the check. And I woke up with the first grant that came through.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess this is going to, that was the first.
I guess I can do this.
Yeah. So that was the part where I was like, I guess this is meant to be. And even though.
Was that the paycheck one, the PPP loan?
Yeah.
They really did us right with that stuff, because we wouldn't, what would you have done otherwise?
Exactly.
What were you going to do?
I would have questioned myself. Like, I don't think I was meant to be.
Right.
Like, but then.
I literally had like a mental breakdown, because I was like, I don't know. I'm like a mom. I'm now a homeschool teacher. I don't have a business. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had started my business in the summer of 2017, so I had spent years building it, and then all of a sudden it was just over. 3
full years.
Yeah. But luckily, I mean, they opened travel. I was trying to remember the other day. They opened travel, like, I think it was somewhat in June, July-ish.
Yeah.
They kind of took that back then.
Yeah.
We did that.
Right.
Because I had actually gone then in July. I went to Yellowstone National Park with my family, my son and my nephews and my dad. And we had a fabulous trip because no one could come from outside the country.
Oh.
The planes were clean. It was lovely. And, and we had already paid for the trip way before COVID, before the shutdown. We had had it planned for a year before.
Right.
Because when I want to take time off, I have to plan way ahead to take it off. Or someone will ask me to work, and, I have reservations through Christmas already.
Yeah.
And we're in February.
Right.
So but it was lovely, and we can't even explain to the kids how lucky they were to go when there was like no one else in Yellowstone National Park. I mean, the hotels were half empty. The roads were like, July in Yellowstone can just be bumper to bumper.
Oh, okay.
It's like crazy.
Right.
And because
that's when
the
people
rest
are
of the year
off
it like
school
snows.
and,
The rest of the year it's like snowing there. So, but it wasn't, we were like really in nature, and the animals had months of no activity to like really get comfortable.
Right.
So they were just everywhere, because they were used to nobody bothering them.
Oh, that's
for months.
cool.
So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. And the kids still to this day, they're all like 15, 16, 17 now. They still don't understand how cool that is.
Right. Like, I could get used to this. You're like, well, don't, because it's not.
And don't bring your kids in here in July and think it's going to be like this, because it's not.
Yeah. So back in 2017, what was the point where you were like, was there a moment where you were like, I need to do this full time? Was it just because you got busy, or like was there like an epiphany or
I was working
like a sign
in
or
an
anything?
office. I was working in an office, and I felt like I wasn't spending any time at my house. I put the kid on the bus, rush to work, come home from work, feed all the animals. At that point, I had more animals. I had some chickens and pot-bellied pigs and all sorts of things that I do not have anymore. But I used to have, and it was a rat race. You're just like, you got to clean the house, you got to do the laundry, you got to do all these things, and you have, you're trying to do it all around this 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
And I worked really hard to get myself completely out of debt, and I had zero debt at the time. I didn't even have a car payment. And
wow.
I went to a friend of mine who's a mortgage guy, and I said, hey, can you like financially advise me on this? Is this a good idea? And he was like, it's kind of now or never, dude. Like you're ready.
Wow,
like,
that's cool.
You can live on.
So you feel
pennies.
like your vision got vetted, like that guy.
You're
like, if he
I
said
thought
it,
I was
like,
there, and I was going to work, and I was like crying on my way home from work. It was like I just was so frustrated with the whole the rat race.
Right.
And so he was like, yeah, you should probably just do that. And talk about like taking a leap.
Yeah.
And then I was doing things like helping my friend who was a landscaper, and like working for my friend's commercial cleaning business.
Right. Just doing little odds and ends.
Yeah. Anything that could be like done in between, like that worked with my schedule. I could say like, hey, I don't have anything tomorrow. I can work all day. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was cleaning car dealerships at 9, 10 o'clock at night because I could, because
I
had time to do that.
Right.
Thank God it didn't take too long till everything
till
it got better. But and it's still up and down. It's one of those jobs, like, if you don't know how to regulate your money, it's not going to work for you, because there's weeks where you feel like you didn't make anything.
But you have to be responsible. Yeah,
you just have to know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make anything until like spring starts, you know? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I was going to say, it just made me think of as you're talking, like being friends on Facebook, although like you don't see each other, like you feel like you do because you see updates.
Right.
Now that you're not working in an office job, you spend more time at home, and you've been talking about how since you owned your home, how much improvements you've done. Has that like being able to work from home and then going and dog sitting or dog walking, has that improved like your home life, like because you're spending more time there?
Because you want it to be like you're
as
not just running in and out.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Things. Yeah. I never thought I would. I mean, move on from being stuck at that paycheck that comes every Friday.
Right.
Because when you're self-employed, you have an ability to make more money. You have an ability to work more hours. You have, you're not just collecting that paycheck on
freedom.
Friday.
Yeah.
Right. And just the fact, I mean, last year I put a new roof and new windows on my house.
Right.
I didn't see that ever coming in my future. I'm making payments on those, but I did it.
By the way, I do have some debt.
Yeah, and I have a little debt now.
Yeah.
But there were things that my house needed, and when you're there more, because I'm like in out.
Yeah.
When I'm there more, I'm like, wow, this really should be done.
Yeah.
Or like, wow, this mud here should really be a sidewalk. And like the other week, I had a guy come and put some pavers in, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. Like the things that I would have probably never done if I was still just working in an office, because I just would have been more worried about going to work than I was like, And so, you work 7 days a week in my industry if you want to. There are pet sitters who just work Monday through Friday. There's pet sitters who just work on the weekends because they have another Monday through Friday job.
Yeah.
I choose to do it 7 days a week. And again, with that open availability all the time is when I can say yes to people.
Right.
I can say, I'll be here for that.
Yeah. Now, being in the comedy business, I have to ask you, are there any like funny stories of like dogs that like just make you laugh, or do you have like a favorite like type of breed that you work with, or any stories that like stand out?
So somebody just asked me this last week. Who's your favorite dog?
Are you calling me a hack? You're like, what an unoriginal question.
Nobody had ever asked me before. And I was like,
now it just happened.
So they're like, they were inquiring who's my favorite dog that I currently take care of.
Okay.
I can't say that.
Whoa, yeah. That's why I
say that on video.
Right.
I've gotten really. When I first started this, I did not love poodle mixes, the doodles and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
They're like my favorite now.
Oh, are they really?
They are.
Just their energy,
have a bunch of them. I just have a bunch of really good clients that have really good dogs.
Yeah.
And so it's changed my perception.
Yeah.
My rescue perception of them was they were all nuts, because that's what I got in the rescue world, because we got the ones that people didn't want any longer.
Okay.
Now I have.
That was just your experience.
Yeah. Now I have the ones that are like live in lovely homes and have lovely owners and have everything that they need.
Yeah.
So.
Product of their environment.
They're just different now. You know? In a couple weeks, I'm actually watching an 11-week-old puppy, and it's a poodle mix puppy.
Okay.
I haven't done that in a while, so that'll be,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting.
Don't pee in the house. Don't pee in the house.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't eat that. Don't pee there.
Yeah.
So it's and the woman who is adopting the dog said to me, she actually came and met with me before she even got the dog to make sure that she would have a pet sitter.
Yeah.
She has an upcoming trip.
Okay.
And she came and met with me, and she says, are you sure? Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I got this, lady. Like,
are you sure that you can handle it?
Yeah. She was like, I just feel like it's going to be a lot. And I'm like, it will, but it'll be fine. It's an 11-week-old puppy. I got this. Like, it's a baby. It needs more than normal, a normal, 5-year-old dog or whatever.
Right.
But, I got it. It's fine. She was so concerned about like her dog's behavior while she's gone. And I was like, it's fine. It's a puppy. It's like, it's fine.
Well, my sister just got the French bulldog.
Yes.
And it was the same thing. Like when they just got it, I think it was
honestly thought that you got a dog. You played that off really well.
I know. We're both living in the basement. No.
I was like, Joel got a dog?
No. Yeah. My sister's like, she's like, I let Joel have this one because she doesn't like the post, and I love the post. But yeah.
Right. So, I really thought riding in the car with you, I was like, Joel got a dog.
Yeah. Spending time, but it was like 8 weeks, I think, when they came home. Yeah. So, but it just surprised me because it was my first time in a while being around a puppy. Like I'd be like petting it and like it would pee. Like it was just like, buddy, we just went out.
I had a Chihuahua puppy years ago, and I mean they're just so tiny, and the French bulldog was probably tiny too, and my husband at the time was sitting in a chair with his legs up like a lazy boy, and the dog got up from here and walked like a foot this way and just peed on him, and you're just like, it's shocking because you just don't realize that they have no recognition of it. They just were like, I gotta pee. I'm gonna pee.
Now, so I have to tell you a story. I've only told my family this, but over the weekend they went away for the first time. Every President's Day weekend, they go to Florida, visit my aunt, retired school teacher, and she has this place, and my nieces and my nephew all love going there. So it was the first time the puppy had been away from them. From them. And you could tell the day after they left, like he went in all their rooms, like checking on them. It was so cool. Like he felt, my dad said, he's like, he was
looking for them.
Yeah, he's like, so he was great all weekend. He peed and pooped outside. We had a great time. Well behaved. My sister gets home, throws me a Ron John hoodie, like so great. She's like, thanks for doing that. And it was like great. Then all of a sudden she went to work for the day, and he did nothing but pee and poop in the house. And I felt terrible because I'm like, I just got a present. And so my point is, my dad has a theory, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but because he was taken out of his routine with them going, like, I don't know if he was being spiteful or whatever, or like he was all spun up because the kids came home and he's excited. But have you ever seen something like that?
So how old is he now?
So he was born in October. So I guess November, December, so like 16 weeks. Yeah, 4 months.
Like 4 months.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with he was just really distracted because they were back.
Okay.
So he was like, they brought all their stuff back. It smells different. The whole family's back. There's like a lot of processing.
Yeah, they had a cat down there. He probably was smelling
There's a lot of processing, and he's only 4 months old. He can't process that much. So he was like thinking about everything under the sun besides going to the bathroom outside.
Yeah, and he was like running around so much. He was just like, oh, that's so funny.
It was just distraction, probably.
It was distracted.
They say that animals can't be spiteful. I disagree with that on cats.
Okay, but you don't think this was the case?
No,
like
4 months old. It doesn't. He has no comprehension.
He was just so happy to have him home.
Yeah, just distraction.
He wasn't
totally
thinking
out of his routine.
That's more of a cat thing.
100%. They are, just out of his routine. Just completely, like, just excited, overworked.
Okay.
Like, if you got so much going on, let's say you've got a really exciting person coming here.
And
your brain is just like, we got to do the show and it's got to be great and blah, blah, blah.
I forgot
but
to eat.
You're still trying to do 10 things today before that happens.
Yeah.
You're just out of your, out of your element.
No, that definitely happens when, like, we have a bigger name. Like, people are like, what's wrong? I go, no, everything's just heightened.
Yeah.
Because I just want to make sure everything goes right. More than normal.
Yeah. Because... Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So he was just, oh my God, they're back. I don't know what to do, and just off his rocker. So, but I'm sure the next day it immediately it was fine and got better.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Now, are there any like nightmare stories of like pets that you thought were gonna be great? Not. Yeah, I mean, again,
I would say probably some nightmare houses, not necessarily the pets.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Houses you go into and you're like, I don't want to be here.
Right. Yeah.
Those are the clients that you have to like decide between. I've never had a lot of them, only a few.
Yeah.
But you have to decide between, do I care so much about the pets that I want to make sure they're taken care of?
Yes, for the short amount of time.
Can I come to this house anymore?
Oof.
Yeah, it's only been, in 6 years, I want to say 3 times maybe. And
you're like, how do you live, man?
You walk in the house and you're like, what happened? Like, I don't understand. Now, most of my clients, their houses are like showroom ready.
Right.
Like, you walk in,
you've used the word lovely.
Does anyone even live here? Yeah, does anyone even live here? It looks like it's right out of Better Homes and Garden.
Right.
But they're every now and then, and you're always kind of like, so you agree to do the job. You have to schedule a meet and greet. You go to their home, you meet them and their pets.
Yeah.
You've already agreed to do the dates that they've asked you for. It's usually like in a close proximity. They're going away in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they need a pet sitter. And so you go. Now you're standing in front of this person in their home, and you're like, okay. And you just talk yourself up. You're like, I got this. I can do this.
Yeah.
But then you have to decide again, are you willing to do it again?
Yeah.
Are you willing to
put yourself through that?
Yeah.
Because now you know what it is.
It comes to like, you're worried about the dogs. You're like, well, if I don't do it, is she going to find someone else who is going to do it? Or are they going to, whatever it is. So it's like, then there's the, the fine line of like how people care for their pets. You don't always agree, but in this part of the industry, the rescue industry was different. It's like, hey, get your stuff together, take care of your pet, get them whatever they need.
Right.
In this instance, it's a little more like you're walking on eggshells.
Right.
It's there, so you just kind of have to like, is it something that needs to be said, or should I just I'm thinking it in my head. Do I really need to say it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. I never even thought about that.
Going into other people's houses is the strangest part of my job. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I use the word vet, but like, so for new clients, do you have to, or do you find yourself go there first before you accept it?
Oh yeah. Well, so you usually like ask them. I want to make sure that
sure
we're
it's
not
like
wasting
timing
anybody's
wise.
time.
Right.
Yeah, we want to make sure. So the first thing I say is, well, what dates are you looking for? Make sure that I actually have that availability. Then we schedule a meet and greet.
Before you even go down that road.
I've never not taken a client at a meet and greet, but I've definitely thought, wow, would I do that again?
Right.
And for multiple reasons, whether it's the home, whether it's the pets,
yeah,
or whether it's the distance, or it's you just have to.
Turns out I'm all booked up that day.
Yeah.
That week. When did you say? Oh, I'm done.
I'm busy. Sorry. 2025, I'm busy the whole year.
Don't have it.
So yeah, I mean, and again, not very often, but you just like, and it weighs on you as an animal loving human.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, this is like very short term thing. You got this. You can do this.
Right.
You know. And then you go to the other part too. Some clients are just really difficult to deal with. There's nothing wrong with their pets. There's nothing wrong with their home.
Right.
They're just really difficult people, and they don't even realize maybe that they're being difficult people. They're just like that. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
And you have to like decide: is it worth my time, my income, my frustration? Is it, is it worth it? 6 years ago, everything was worth it.
Yeah.
I would, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll
right.
do that.
Right.
Now you get a little leeway to be like,
choose.
I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
You know.
Now my sister that I don't live with, my youngest sister, whose husband's the executive chef and it's his restaurant, Gatsby's. They told me that it was the opposite with their dog, because my sister's dog was fine whenever they left, but when she went away, both her dogs don't eat. Do you ever like find
a lot?
Okay.
It's a big problem. So one of my questions when we do a meet and greet, one of my questions is, so if your dog won't eat, what can I do to make them eat or to entice them to eat?
Okay.
Because I would never give a dog something somebody didn't want me to give them.
Okay.
So
yeah, like my dog's a vegetarian.
It happens.
Really?
It happens.
Yeah.
So I always ask, is there something I can do to entice them?
Okay.
And they're like, because if they've never had this issue, then this is like a new question to them.
It's all part of the interview process.
Can I put some shredded cheese in their food, or can I put some chicken broth on it? Or
is your dog dairy free?
Just allergies are a real thing. Dog allergies are a real thing.
Oh, for real?
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a lot of clients on very
because of me they
diets.
appear animals.
Right.
My dog, I just said it, my dog.
Yep.
But he doesn't chew. Like, I've never seen.
Oh, there'll be a phase. Just wait. Shh. Don't put that out in the universe.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, he chews things he's not supposed to chew. But I'm saying the velocity and speed at which he eats.
Oh.
Like.
Okay, so he needs a slow feeder bowl.
Oh,
it's
that's
like
a thing?
maze, and you put the food in there, and they have to like eat around they're like little nubs, or like it's actually like a maze, and they have to eat the food out of the dish.
You can just get that.
Yeah, at any pet store.
It's
called a slow feeder.
Slow feeder. Okay. Oh, look at you.
And see if he's already doing that, it's only gonna get worse as he gets older, because I mean, if he's in, and it's not good for their digestion and stuff that they're inhaling the food like that.
Okay.
So I would suggest a slow feeder. I have a lot of clients that use them, especially like, I wouldn't say. I guess maybe Frenchies, but it's usually like Labradors and things, pit bulls that just like eat their food like crazy.
Yeah.
So that's another thing people say to me all the time. Oh, when are you going to start training dogs? I'm not. That's not ever going to happen, but I can give you advice.
Right.
I can tell you what you should do. Whether you're going to actually do it or not is up to you.
Right. That's like going up to your accountant and be like, when are you getting into public speaking? Like, I mean, I know it's more.
Like
it's more
the same. People think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So like, I have trained my dogs that I walk on a regular basis, like my Monday through Friday clients. I have trained them the way that I need them to be trained to walk them appropriately. But that's as far as that's going to go. Like, I'm not training their owners to train them. I have trained them for what I need them to do while we're walking.
Right.
And I've sent videos to some of my clients. They can't believe it because they've never been able to walk their dog or whatever. But that's because it's just a
You're
tool.
good
I'm
at what
using
you do.
Tools. I'm using my tools to do my job.
Yeah, like you said, like cheese to wrap the food or whatever it is.
And I like my shoulders and my elbows where they are.
Right.
So if I can teach your dog how to walk normal, like that's what we're gonna do. And so, I have all the respect in the world for dog trainers because they're not only dealing with the dogs, they're dealing with the people.
Right.
And trying to get the people to train their dogs along
with
them.
Because they first train the dog and then they train the people to keep it going.
And they have to keep it going or it's not gonna work.
Right.
So
it's like learning how to speak Spanish, but then you don't use it.
Right.
lose
I took
it.
Spanish in high school. I have no idea.
Right.
What happened. Never used it again.
Yeah.
So
same thing.
Same thing. Exact same thing. Dog trainers have to have a lot more patience than I
Right.
do.
Okay.
You have to be very patient with people.
But yeah, they don't understand like going back to how you started, what you were saying. You're finding it hard to find time for yourself because you're working 7 days a week. Now throw dog training in there. You're like, you can't, like,
when
you
am I
only
gonna
have
do that?
so much time.
Right.
There's only
and
so
I'm
many hours in a day.
And I have a 15-year-old. Like,
Right.
Wait, what? No, and I don't have time for this. And I like to have a social life. So
Yeah.
you got to fit all of that in
It's a different skill set.
a week.
I mean, not that you couldn't do it, but it's just
right.
what you
It's
choose
something
to do.
I don't want. And to be a dog trainer, you should have knowledge, but you should also be certified in some way. You don't have to be. You can just say you're a dog trainer.
Right.
But you should study under someone and have some kind of certification.
That's not how you want to run your business. That's what you want to,
Right.
Not only be known for, but be.
Right. It's like being insured. Like, I have insurance because that's the appropriate way to run my business. I have, like, there's.
Yeah.
You got to follow. There's certain standards that you should have. And could I train dogs without a certification? Sure, but that wouldn't be what I would want to do.
Yeah. Sometimes people that don't run businesses don't understand all the costs. Like, they look at all, like, how much they paid and how much, like, whatever the costs are, but they don't realize all the costs behind the scene, like insurance and electricity. You're like, just to turn on the electricity in this place is like $300 a day.
I'll have people that will call me and say, oh, my daughter's going to pet sit for the neighbor. How much should she charge? And I'm like, well, that's a really, like, open question, because how much experience does she have? Does she have insurance? Yet the answer is none, no, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Then whatever your neighbor's willing to pay her and take their chances hiring a kid or a teenager to watch their pets.
Yeah.
Well, how much do you charge?
Yeah.
That's irrelevant.
Right.
Because it's not the same thing.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're also talking about like a professional athlete. Like, what do they get paid? You're like, how much am I going to get paid to go play baseball? You're like,
right. It's the same thing. It would be like me saying to you, like, how much are you going to pay me to come to a comedy show? Nothing, because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Are people going to come out to see you?
Right.
Are you going to sell any tickets?
I mean, they might.
Whoops.
They might.
To hear some of more of your stories anonymously.
I told somebody today that I was doing this, and she says, I said I have a meeting with Joel at 4. I didn't say what it was.
Oh.
It's like, oh, what are you taking up, comedy now? And I was like, I could. She's like, well, yeah, I know, but that's not what you're doing, right?
You're
and
like,
I was
Meredith
like, no.
was just in New Orleans.
Meredith.
Yeah.
So what'd she do, like 3 shows?
Yeah.
She's nuts.
Yeah.
She's nuts.
Well,
Takes a lot.
She told me she was here. She just finished the comedy class, and there was a guy that was working at the Apollo up in New York when I was living there, but he was from New Orleans and he moved back. He was just here when I took over. I had him come up for a weekend, and he's been trying to come back. So I talk to him all the time. So I was like, Meredith's good enough where I'm not going to be embarrassed if I send her his way.
She's hysterical.
And it was only supposed to be one show, and then she earned the other ones.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Because I saw her posting that, another show tonight, And I was like, what is she doing? She's on her little tour.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. It's amazing. Pottstown's doing things.
Yeah, trying to bring it all back. Yeah, I started Discover Pottstown, so I'm gonna try to.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start. I got to get a videographer first, but then once we do it, I'm gonna go and like I'll come to you and show you, walking whatever. Like
so there is, I don't know if you know or not, there's another woman in Pottstown that does Pottstown Revitalization. Is called her Facebook
Jamie.
page.
Yeah.
I love Jamie. She's great.
Yeah.
So she does a lot of that too. There's also that Hello 422 person. I don't know who that is.
Chris Lurch.
Yeah, he's like all over the place. Like
Yeah.
He's constantly
doing videos.
highlighting things. Highlighting
which is
things
good
and
for the
stuff.
whole area.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
trying to bring it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like he does some neat stuff. Like sometimes he gives people gifts, or I don't know what it is. I see it pop up on my Facebook. So he's like, I've never met him. I just see him on Facebook doing the things.
Yeah.
And we got to do what we can here because we're
here.
here.
I know, helping each other. Oh, what I was gonna say is, earlier when I interviewed earlier last year, who was it? He's from Royersford Fencing, and Joe Moskal. Yeah, and when I interviewed him because he has a full-time job teaching.
Yeah.
So I interviewed him over Christmas break, and he said he was going to Soul Joel's, the same thing, where he didn't really necessarily tell his kids what he was going to do. And they're like, Dad, why are you going there? You're not funny. Like, didn't realize it was just for this. It was
I was like, no, small business spotlight. And she was like, oh, like Because if you're not a small business person, I feel like maybe you don't know that this happens yet. Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, of course.
I know you've been doing it, but some people that are just,
which is fine.
Not paying attention.
But that actually made. I mean, obviously, like my family, they're my biggest supporters, but also the people that roast me the most. So that made me laugh, but also made me feel good that I'm like, his kids even know what this is. You know what I mean? Like, it always blows my mind where I see like when you and Tim came in, wore your sweatshirts. Like that still blows my mind that
it's
people
like his life
wear.
uniform. He wears that like all the time. Like
well, that makes
your
me feel
T-shirts
good.
are his favorite. I think he has 3.
Oh my god!
I told him he can't keep wearing them every single time we go out because every picture looks like that is the only shirt he owns.
That's hilarious.
Yes, it is his. It's absolutely his favorite.
Yeah, I had to get a couple extra pair of gray jeans because they're like my favorite too. But I'm like, everyone's like, dude, you always wearing them? I'm like, I have a couple pair.
I have like you have to like take a picture of your closet, like hang them all up and be like, this is what I have.
Yeah,
I always look the same, but like
this is my uniform.
This is my uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, that's when Tim and I started, was in the Dome. I mean, that's when we started dating in March of 2019.
Oh, really?
So, like,
that
was like for some of our first dates were upstairs in the comedy club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because that's what I knew. We met before the pandemic.
It was like upstairs before that got shut down, and we moved to the beach, and then we spent a whole lot of time on the beach.
Yeah, we did. I know. I know those memories. Like I love it, but everything had to happen to get me here. Like this was. I couldn't do what I was doing now if I was still there.
This is like, if you think about that, you were in like what, the 4th floor of the factory or whatever it was. I mean, cool space, but you could only have so many people.
Yeah, I couldn't even fit as many people as we have in our smaller
room. Yeah. Well, and it was set up lovely, but again, you weren't just like rows and rows of people. You had the tables and the things. It was a great space. It was. Yeah, you're right. If everything didn't happen the way that it happened, you would not be here. But it's very cool.
And so where do you see, like, what's up? What's the plan for the rest of the year? Do you see any changes or things you're looking forward to?
I am really happy with the way that my business runs. People always ask me if I'm going to hire people.
Yeah.
People hire me because I'm just me.
Right.
They know that I'm coming, besides the one woman that I have who actually was a client of mine who now walks dogs for me when I go away on vacation.
Okay.
So, like, I'm going to Mexico in March. And she's, for the 4 or 5 days I'm gone, she'll walk the dogs for me.
Okay.
My clients like her. She loves my clients. The dogs, they all get along. It's great. I only need her when I'm not here.
Yeah.
Or I break my leg.
Right. Right.
So she's amazing. And it was a random conversation that I was talking about how I just need this fill-in help and I can't find it. And she was like, I'll do it for you. And she's been doing it for probably 2 years now.
And it just happened like that.
It did. And she's like, she lives really close to me. I watch her dogs for her. And I watch all of the dogs in her entire neighborhood now because everybody knows what I do.
Oh, wow. And again, it was word of mouth. So that actually opened up a whole...
It really did. I had been trying to get into this one neighborhood forever. And I would put out flyers back when I was doing all that. I would actually drive around and put a flyer in everyone's mailbox, like in entire neighborhoods.
That's the personal touch.
Hours doing it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a phone call and sometimes you wouldn't get anything. And this neighborhood I would get nothing from ever. And all it took was her to tell them, this is my pet sitter, you should use her. And boom.
Yeah.
The whole neighborhood.
It was validation.
It was. The personal recommendation goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's like anything. You say, oh, I went to JJ Radigan's and my dinner was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Now you want to try it.
Right.
Yeah.
People will say to me, I've never been to Soul Joel's. And I'm like, first of all, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Go give it a try.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, people call me all the time and say, hey, we're going out in town this weekend. What's going on?
Yeah.
Somehow I just know like
the
event calendar. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I like to be involved in things. I like to go to things. If I have time to support them, I can go.
Yeah.
And again, you have to have work-life balance. And things like that. So.
But also with your business too, like the reason why you probably don't have employees is because, like you said, people hire you and you want to make sure it's being done right and you can trust yourself that you're going to do it and not have someone else doing it.
Right. Like, I don't want a phone call. Like, this is a long time ago now. It was probably before the pandemic. But I had a dog that wouldn't let me in his house.
Oh.
So I'm standing there. It's like 9 o'clock on a Friday night. I need to let this dog out. And he, like, will not let me in the door. And
where you were like scared, like hesitant?
He was like medium sized. So I wasn't scared. I just didn't want it to go negatively. I wanted it to be good. So I was able to bribe him with treats and spend enough time sitting at the door with the door cracked and get him to think that I wasn't going to harm him or hurt the house or whatever.
Right.
And so I eventually got in and was able to take care of him, and then each visit got better from there on out.
Yeah.
But if I had an employee, they would have called me in 2 minutes.
Right.
Told me that they couldn't get into the house and they weren't going to do it.
Right.
So I think I have the night off. I'm out somewhere. I'm at Soul Joel's, I'm wherever,
Yeah.
and then I have to leave to go do that because they can't do it.
That's happened.
I would just rather know that I'm going to be the one doing it. I'm handling it.
Yeah.
I know that it's going to be done the right way.
Yeah.
Right. You have to like, it's like when I hire a pet sitter, I think about it. I'm like, you know, I come home and I'm like,
Can't be
okay,
anyone.
everything is where everything was. My dogs are alive. Cool. We're good. And everybody looks good. Fine.
Yeah.
But like, I know what that feels like to hire a pet sitter.
Yeah.
And so that's the service I provide. And when people call me, they start asking 1,000 questions. I get it. You don't know me.
Yeah.
They ask 1,000. And one of the big questions is it going to be you?
Right.
Yeah. It's going to be me. Yeah.
I have to
But,
ask you,
but most pet sitting companies
Right.
have multiple people because one person can't do it all.
Right. And you have to get used to different people.
Yeah, and a lot of people that start pet sitting companies do start it in they want employees. They want to hire employees. They want to manage them and like work less per se. They want other people to go do the job for them. I get it. But to make that work, you have to have quite a bit of employees.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to have one or two.
Not me. I was dreaming this my whole life, so I'm going to be here.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it. Like,
Right,
I
exactly.
enjoy
So
my
it's
job.
not work,
I don't
even
want
though
to
it's
manage
long
people.
hours.
I was a manager in my last career. I do not want to manage people. I'm
right.
good.
You're
I want to manage four-legged things.
Yeah.
Sometimes they only have three, but.
So I have one more question to ask you, and it just came to my mind. Do you, because I had this debate with people, do you think dogs speak English? Like, do you think they or do they just read energy and kind of know what you're talking? And I know, like,
So
they're trained and stuff like that.
When I say they speak English, they speak your English because they're used to what
You're saying. Yeah.
So people say to me, well, every day at this time, my dog does this.
Yeah.
And I say, well, it's like when they start begging for dinner or when they do this.
Yeah.
I say, well, there has to be a trigger that made them do that. What
Right.
do you do every day at that time?
Right.
Or does your neighbor get home from work every day at that time and they hear the neighbor's car door slam?
Right.
And that triggers them, I'm going to have dinner soon.
Right.
There's something happening. So do they speak English? No. Do they absorb all of the things that we do and say?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you say, it's like your dog's name. They learn their name because you've said it enough.
Right.
If you say no enough to them, they
understand what that energy
as
is.
As long as it works. If you say no and they stop doing what they were doing,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, the energy too is
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
But it's and some dogs way more than others. Some dogs just don't care. They're
Right.
just gonna do whatever they want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that once you have a good relationship with your dog,
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree, yes,
They're
because
speaking,
they
yeah.
understand you.
Yeah.
They understand what you want right now.
Right.
They know if they're being bad. They
Well,
know.
this came about because I finally took a week vacation, which I hadn't in like
Where are
years.
you going?
I went Puerto Rico, but I went
Wow.
January 1st, like literally the morning of New Year's Day.
Right.
And then that first week I got back like the 8th. It was Monday to Monday. But when I was there, I always treat it like fat camp. So I started working out and like, I did everything. I don't
Just relax, man. Just relax. Okay.
But when I ran, I stayed in an Airbnb like and I was running through like these neighborhoods, and on 2 different days back to back I got chased by like a dog, and it wasn't the first one. There was no owner in sight. And I kind of like, hey, buddy. And like in hindsight, I'm like, I was speaking English to this dog who probably speaks Spanish or at least Spanglish or whatever. Like,
if you're gonna do that again, you should probably have some words.
Yeah.
Learn
I
some
was just
commands. Learn some commands.
Yeah. Trying not to get bitten.
So here's the thing: you were in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Things are different.
Oh
there.
my gosh!
It's
I was
like going to the Virgin Islands. Things are different
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's not like it is here. We have plenty of dogs that get loose here, but they get captured pretty quickly and returned to wherever they belong.
Right.
Down there, they just like open their door and they just go about their business.
Right.
Okay, whatever that is.
Yeah. We kept hearing.
So I'm not surprised.
We kept hearing roosters, and one came in the
Everywhere.
yard. Yeah, and then also we looked next door. There was like 24, and then we looked up. Cockfighting is legal. So I
Okay.
don't know if we were. I don't agree with it.
It's legal in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just in Cozumel in
Okay.
January,
Okay.
and I went down. I did a solo trip to Cozumel. I stayed in an Airbnb by myself, and it was a really cool experience. But I had met a woman in my solo travel group that she had offered to give me a tour of the island for the day. So we rode scooters for like 6 hours all over the island.
Oh,
and
wow.
Visited all sorts of different places.
Yeah.
And then I guess she figured I was cool enough, so she invited me back to her house, and I was a little surprised to learn that she had roosters, and like a lot of them. And
like
and then,
way too many.
And I didn't want to ask because I just don't want to know, dude. We had such a good day. We had a good time. It was her birthday. She took me to lunch. We did all these great things. And so, but it's part of the Mexican culture, but I don't think it's legal there. It's not legal in Mexico, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Again, I didn't even deep dive it because I was like, you know what? We had a really good day. I met her dog. Her dog's awesome. And I was like, okay, everybody has their thing. And if that's what it is, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm just visiting for the day.
Yeah.
I gotta, like you said, you saw them and you're like, oh no. But I didn't know it was legal in Puerto Rico.
You got a lot of roosters, right? Like not. Did you see hens? No.
Well, she does have a couple because she like has them make babies.
If she,
right. She like uses them for their like purpose. And maybe she gets eggs. I don't know. I didn't. Again, I was not asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I just
happy birthday. I'm gonna mind my business.
Yeah. I was like, okay. They teach their own. You just sometimes, and again, like I said in my business, you sometimes have to decide if something is worth saying something about.
Right.
I mean, animal welfare is a real thing, but everybody doesn't understand that animal welfare is actually very, very minimal. They have to have shelter, food, and water.
Right.
And the definition of that is very little. So people will say, "Oh, why don't you call on so and so about whatever?" And I'm like, "Because that doesn't qualify."
Right.
It's kind of sad, and it doesn't. But if I've had times where I've had to say some hard things, and you're just like, oh, dreading it.
Right.
And people usually come across pretty thankful, like they just really didn't know or whatever it was. But that day I was like, oh yeah, I don't see. It was the very end of our day. We had such a great time. I don't know if I'll ever even see her again. I was like, okay. But she did tell me that they take them on the ferry because Cozumel's an island.
Yeah.
So they take the roosters on the ferry when they have to transport them back and forth from the mainland. Okay. And I was like, so there's just a whole bunch of you that get on the ferry, the big fancy ferry.
Yeah.
With roosters in boxes.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes.
And we pay for that trip.
I was like,
by
yeah
with our winnings
on
the way home.
Again, she was saying very little that I wasn't asking any questions. But she was talking. I think she got a phone call or something, and they were talking about taking them on the ferry. And then I had to ask. I was like, wait, you take them on the ferry? She's like, well, how do you think they get here? I was like, I just assumed like they were born here, right? Like you just hatched them and they just happened here. I don't know. I did not dawn on me in a million years that you were going to take a rooster on a ferry. But it's, again, different life. To each their own. Everybody has to have a hobby, right?
Another red flag, yeah. Underground.
I mean, it was what it was. But it was such a cool trip and a cool experience. I wasn't going to let that weigh it down.
No. So tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. I know you have your Facebook page.
I do. Heidi's Pet Sitting on Facebook. And then I have a website, not so sure it's up to date, but it's HeidiPetsits.com.
Okay.
And most people just text me.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to get.
645-0733. It's on the website. It's on the Facebook page.
I've had my cell phone out there for years. You're like, what's one more crazy person getting in touch with me?
You just go, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're just like me. Your phone never stops going off.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to, when I go out to dinner, I just turn it upside down on the table and I just take the punishment when I get done.
Yeah.
There's going to be 10 people that want me to answer them.
Yeah.
Whether
like,
it's
give me
kid,
this hour.
Whether it's whatever. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to. If you don't, you'll go crazy. And when I first started, I had another business owner tell me, he said, look, I know that you're working every day, like 365 right now. He said, but if you're going to burn yourself out, you have to take vacation. He didn't say vacation. You have to take time off. Well, I realized that if I'm not getting in a car and leaving town or getting on a plane, I'm not working because I'm here. Like I'm going to work. You know? So that's when I started just planning multiple trips a year, and I go away so that I can.
Yeah, even if it's like 3 days, you're like at least you're going multiple, like 3 or 4 days at a time.
Yeah, and I get a
not
break.
2 weeks, but
I get a break.
Multiple.
And at that point, my friends pretty much leave me alone when I'm away because they know, so they're not bothering me. And like my family knows I'm away, so they're not bothering me. So it's just, I'll still get some inquiries and some stuff. But as soon as I say, hey, like I'm out of the country or hey, I'm whatever, I'll respond when I get back.
Yeah, I'm not in your time zone.
People are like, okay, great. Like,
I'll
talk to you in a couple days.
Yeah, I wish I was there. Yeah.
I get a lot of that. I get more like, good. So glad you're taking some time off.
Yeah, so you have boundaries. People respect your space.
Yeah. And I also had to learn to stop answering people at like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
If you text me at 9 o'clock and ask me a question, it's hard, but I have to be like, don't answer them till tomorrow. Don't answer them until tomorrow.
Right.
Because they're used to.
You're encouraging that behavior.
Yeah. You have to train people like how it works. And, and I get it. It's Sunday night at 9:00. You're winding on the weekend, and you thought, oh shit, I didn't ask Heidi to pet sit next weekend.
Yeah.
And you just send the text.
Couple of wines into the evening.
Yeah. And then you're like, hey, I was thinking about going away next weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, yeah. So I do somewhere out there, maybe I don't know if it's on my Facebook page. It might be my automatic response if you like message me on Facebook, I think it is.
Yeah.
The automatic response says like between 7 to 7, which is plenty of time for you to message me.
Yeah.
I don't always follow it really well, but I try.
Yeah, you're like, that 12 hours. You have 12 hours.
12 hours of the day to talk to me.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but also every customer, I'm not going to say they think they're the only one, but they're one person.
Oh, yeah.
They don't realize that 30 other people have asked me questions today, whether it was my kid, my significant other, my dad, whatever. I've been asked 30 other questions today, you know.
It's funny you say that because I recently gave out free tickets to a show, and a lady told me, she goes, one of my friends goes, oh, you know, Joel sent me an email for free tickets. She goes, honey, that went out to everyone. Like, I feel, I get it that Joel made you feel special, but there's 27,000 people on that email list. Like, which I was like, oh, that's amazing that they feel that special. But yeah, I sent it to everyone because not everyone's going to read it. Not everybody checks their email every day. Not everybody, is on top of it. Like, I had people a week later still responding to that email. Like,
and you're like, that's over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
like,
done. We have, me and my friends always joke. So have you ever been to Big Phil's?
Yeah.
So you go to Big Phil's, right? And he comes around and talks to everybody. So like, he'll stop at your table, ask if you need anything, whatever. I mean, that's who he is. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll have friends that go there for the first time and they're like, Phil stopped at my table and he like asked us if we needed anything. And I was like, he does that to everyone.
Right.
He's not the only one.
You're like, he's a business. His parents both own a restaurant.
Yeah,
like, they own a restaurant.
It's just what he does.
It's what he does. Yeah,
it's what he does. But almost every person that's like, hey, how's Big Phil's? Like, we're thinking about going there for dinner. I'm like, absolutely, you should.
Yeah.
And so they go. But every single one comes back with so Phil like stopped at our table and talked to us. And I'm like, yeah. Because he's a cool dude.
So funny.
Because he's a cool dude. It's what he does.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that.
Well, the first time I went there is before our restaurant opened here, and we had just came to Sunnybrook. One of the comics I grew up with had just Googled like places to eat around here, and it was Big Phil. So we went there for the first time, and then I ended up going there like every week, a couple times a week.
Great place.
But his name's Julian McCullough, and him and I went to high school together. And when Big Phil came over to our table, he goes, "You're Big Phil." He goes, "So your name's not ironic." Like, you're really big.
It is not. It's perfectly named.
Yeah.
When I first saw the name, I was like, "Who's this guy think he is?"
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. That's who he is.
Yeah. You're like, that's him. So that's what he's gonna call his place.
He's always just so hospitable and welcoming when you go there.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I go there and see bands and stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah.
It's a great place. Great place.
And it's only like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all want to support each other. 'Cause I want to be like Phoenixville, where like people want to go out eat. They'll go to JJ Radigan's, or they'll go to the Blue Elephant, or they'll go to Big Phil's. Like, I want them to think about coming here to Gatsby's, And people are like, "Oh, I just went to Big Phil's." I'm like, "Listen, you can't eat here all the time. Like, I want to hear that other people are doing well.
Absolutely,
because then we have a scene.
Yeah, and you can't. I mean, nobody wants to do the same thing all the time.
All the time, yeah. You have to have variety.
There's some people that go out to dinner twice a year. There's some people that go out to dinner multiple times a week.
Yeah.
And you just, you're all over the place.
Exactly.
And, I actually do not go to Phoenixville at all anymore for anything.
Yeah. But I was just making an example.
Yeah, well, but it is. I mean, that's where we used to go because that's what we needed to do.
Right.
And I do frequent Boyertown because they have like such a lovely same thing community.
Yeah.
Everybody supports each other. They have these amazing community days and stuff like that. And then all the restaurants here, High Street, all the way down to here.
Yeah.
We are really trying to do amazing things.
Yeah.
People joke that they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the dog walker lady." I get called the dog walker lady.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, my name is Heidi.
Yeah.
You're the dog walker lady.
Yeah.
Because people see me. I walk dogs on Industrial Highway.
Okay.
On the trail.
Yep.
A couple times a week, and so people say to me all the time, "Oh, I saw you on the trail. I saw you on the trail, or I saw you walking down High Street, or I saw you wherever."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Same thing with you. You get spotted with your car everywhere.
My car. Yeah. So it's funny because I was watching my nephew last year, and I'm the only one. Well, it was a Monday, so I was off. So Uncle Joel was the one that babysat.
Right.
And we ordered DoorDash because he was sick, didn't want to leave the house. So when the lady gets there, she sees my car, looks at me, and goes, "Soul Joel, you're the bingo man of Pottstown." First of all,
I bet the bingo place in Pottstown wouldn't be very happy to hear.
Not happy at all. Exactly. Second of all, I didn't quit my day job to become the bingo man, let alone up Pottstown, whatever. And my nephew went, the bingo man at Pottstown. I'm like, get inside.
We're not talking about
Yeah. But it's funny. Yeah, the same thing.
So on that note, is bingo every Thursday?
It's every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, I didn't remember what day it was, but I know Avery and
oh my gosh,
that whole clan come all the time.
Oh yeah, her mom was one of the ones that heckled me. 'Cause it's such. I didn't realize that there's a bingo rules. It's supposed to be every 17 seconds that you call the numbers.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Well, yeah. So someone told me on one of our breaks, but it's such a fine line between people making direct eye contact like you're doing and people making no eye contact because they're constantly catching up.
Yeah.
So I always say, I'm like, so I started doing it like every 18 seconds just to like.
Do you have like a timer?
I have a time on my phone, like just doing my phone.
But you just and reset and reset and reset.
but I was trying.
Holy stress.
Exactly, but sometimes I'm like doing a little banter in between.
Yeah.
To like
you have 18 seconds.
You have 18 seconds exactly. So a lady yells out. She goes, "I'm not getting any younger." And I go, "Oh my gosh. Like that is what you think bingo ladies are." And this lady said that. And Avery sent me a message. She goes,
"I'm so sorry about my mom."
Yeah. It was her mom. Exactly. And I was like, hilarious. Like that was so funny. Like I didn't care.
I have not made it to one yet, but I want to. But I'm also the worst bingo player because I'm like butterfly, squirrel. What number was that?
Right.
I have no idea.
Well, and that's the thing too is that people that aren't keeping up are the ones that are not paying attention or just doing it more socially. Which who cares?
I'm like here to hang out, but you can't mess with the serious bingo people.
Oh no, and they have the I've been playing bingo 10 times this week energy, and they have like 12 dabbers, and I'm like I get two dabbers.
What's the 12? Like your color options? I mean,
exactly. Well, and I think of like it runs out of ink, but I'm like. Then that's
12.
3 or 4, like
maybe.
At most. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
So I'm all about the drag queen bingo that they do at Manatawny still works.
Okay.
Because it's just everybody having some delicious cocktails. There's drag queens singing and dancing. We're maybe playing some bingo. Like,
yeah.
That's my level of bingo. The 18-second bingo, I don't know.
That's wild. A lady came up to me during one of the drag brunches. She goes, "You should have a mom prom drag queen night." And I'm like, that's a lot. I go, mom prom? I go, drag queen? I go, that's
that's a lot happening
it just,
the same
it just
day.
Sounds like a girls' night out.
So when they do it at Manatawny, they do it on New Year's Eve day. So everyone starts drinking at like 11 a.m. on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And the first year they did it was I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, it took like a long time because there was a lot happening. There was like they were performing and we were playing bingo and there was a brunch by Grumpy's and all this stuff and it was a lot. This year, much smoother. They had it like much more like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
We were in and out. But I think last year or the first year we did it, we were there for like 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Whoa. Right. Now it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we're like, oh, where did the day go?
Yeah. Did you make it till midnight?
To 1:30 or something. That year I did. I actually was at Big Phil's later that night. My friend's band plays there, the band with no name, and and so they were playing. Yeah, I made it. I went to dinner at Liberty Union, and then I went to Big Phil's for the
full
band,
day,
this whole thing, and worked in between. Worked before I went to the brunch. Worked after I got home from the brunch.
Was able to fit it all in.
You have to. You gotta
perfect
manage.
work-life balance.
You have to. You have to, especially on a holiday like that. Like people want you to work, but you need to. You can't just not do anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's it took a long time to figure it out because like I said, when I first started, I was just work.
Yeah.
And then you get like, okay,
yeah,
I need a break. I need to breathe.
It's perfect.
So it is. It works out really well. But again, I'm got myself in a position where it's the only job that I have. I don't have to have another job on top of it.
Well, proud of you, and I'm happy to call you a friend too. So it's Heidi's Pet Sitting on Facebook and HeidiPetSits.com.
Yep, and I don't just do dogs. So I've done everything from farm animals to aquatics to, I don't know, what else can you possibly have? Cats, whatever it is. I've done all of it. I have experience with all the animals. It just happens to be that mostly people call me for dogs.
They're the ones that need walked.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you.